Today, we're talking about tops once again. I have two topics in particular that I think are super important for us to talk about. The first one's going to be some positive news off the back of my negative content, right? So many haters out there say I'm negative, but we've got clear evidence here that, me and others pushing back on certain things can actually make this hobby better. Not that that needs to be said, but there are many people out there that call us haters. So I want to touch on that because it relates to tops and their hobby rip nights, and it's a big pet peeve of mine from the last 6 months that they've gone ahead and fixed. And then we'll jump into, tops Mercury and why I think it's another, unlicensed mess that's going to be pushed by these content creators, by these breakers. They're going to try and take advantage of people. And I think there's some things here that need to be talked about and clarified. In particular, how much tops is actually copied in terms of the aesthetics of the cards from existing Panini and Upper Deck sets. So stay tuned for that a little bit later on. We'll kick things off though, like I said, with this whole Rip Night situation. Now, the regulars on the channel will know we've touched on this so many times. You guys are probably sick of it, but about 6 months ago, DGen Rips put out a video, and you can sort of see the context of what I'm about to talk to if I let the video play. You'll see there's a little Fanatics Live card there that basically gives you, I think it was either $5 or $20, coupon towards your next break on their platform or towards your first break on their platform. And the reason why that was frustrating, and the reason why he talked about it 6 months ago, and then the reason why I did a number of videos on it, is that these hobby rip nights were, centered around kids, right? Trying to get more kids involved in the hobby, trying to get celebrities attending these things, trying to get athletes attend these things. So it was news to me and many others that, when they were handing out goodie bags to these kids, Topps was including, a Fanatics Live gift card in there for them to go ahead and use Fanatics Live, i.e. enter a break, which is pretty, unacceptable in my opinion. You guys might say, well, what's the big deal? The big deal is it's no different to gambling. I've said breaking is basically gambling for a long time, and I saw that as some sort of predatory tactics, right? You're trying to get kids hooked onto this platform, and it's not a good thing, right? Obviously, they can enter this sort of stuff under adult supervision, but the fact you are actively handing these out to kids along with free packs just didn't sit right with me, and DGen Rips didn't appreciate it either. Many others also share the same sentiment. And we also spoke about it again in the last couple of months where you essentially had, Fanatics and Topps hold these events for card collectors, adults, and they were including gift cards in there for their Fanatics Sportsbook. So, my brain started to go off and I was thinking, well, maybe they're trying to get people to use their sportsbook. And if that's their end goal, stuff like this at their Rip Night might be part of that grand scheme to get your customers hooked on certain things, right? You start them young, you get them on to these breaking platforms, you hand out these things, you sort of interlink all your platforms. So the second they start turning 21, you can then funnel that kind of content towards them as well. And it just didn't seem right to me. Again, some of you guys might say it's not breaking or it's not gambling, I should say. But I think there's enough evidence out there to suggest that it's maybe inappropriate to at least go ahead and do how they did it at these Rip Nights. Now, like I said, I've made a number of videos on these and pushed back quite a lot. And it seems we've actually got, a positive outcome because DGen Rips actually reached out to me and he congratulated me, which I told him I didn't need to have that done. But he sort of said that we did a good job and it looks like Topps have stopped handing these things out at these events because he basically saw none at the Rip Nights he attended. And then, having talked to a few others and tried to corroborate the information, they all went ahead and said the same thing. These things were no longer being handed out, which I think, is a good thing that Topps has gone ahead and done. Like maybe it's just coincidental, but I like to think they've probably seen the optics of the situation and said, okay, maybe we should stop doing this because it doesn't look good. Like in the back of their mind, they may have just thought, handing this stuff out to them would be a bit of fun. But in the grand scheme of things, that's incredibly inappropriate in my opinion. And I just wanted to give, DGen Rips a shout out because like I told him, had he not made these videos 6 months ago, maybe I wouldn't have been as fired up, as what I was in all the videos that I've made. And, he was clearly one of the first to talk about it and flag it. So we owe a lot of credit to him and others like him and myself for maybe pushing this back towards Topps. Now, again, it could be purely coincidental. I'm not looking for a pat on my back, but, from my perspective, this is a good thing from them that they have stopped doing because it just looks incredibly poor. And people will defend it like they did in the last few videos, but I don't feel right with that. And like I said, when you've got this business that's sort of interlinked and they can offer all these different services, ultimately they're going to want to try and make that efficient and try and get customers at every level, right? And they want to start doing things to customers at the earliest platform, i.e. ripping open packs and trying to get them hooked to eventually go ahead and start using that sportsbook. I think it's pretty crystal clear that would be a company's intentions. And, like I sort of said in my last video on the topic, I would not be surprised one day to sort of see something linked to the sportsbook with exclusive parallels or one-of-ones or something along those lines. Don't be shocked if you go ahead and see Topps do that. Now, the next thing I want to talk to is actually this release from Topps called Mercury. This is centered around Victor Wembanyama. Yes, you heard that right. Yet another set around this poor guy. His cards have been printed to the bloody moon, including his autographs. This is utterly ridiculous at this point, but if you haven't seen what this set is, it's basically, like it says there, $1,000 per card box. It costs $8,000 with just 8 cards within it, and Topps Mercury is a set that apparently will be released every year during the player's first professional season. So it's only going to really be about this guy. You can see LeBron in there, but essentially a high-end set with game-used, memorabilia, on-card autos, short prints, in order to get people paying top dollar. And you guys would have heard me in the past that I get excited when I see some of these high-end sets, because typically what happens is after a few years, they tank in price. Obviously, some command significant values, but for me, Flawless Soccer is one of my favorite sets of all time. I'm wearing a Chelsea jersey today, right? I love that club. So the fact that I can buy a high-end set that was, over tens of thousands of dollars when it first released for a couple $100 now for these cards is awesome to me, because I love on-card autos and I love game-used memorabilia. So when I see this, I'm like, great, that's cool. The stuff that sort of concerns me with this set, number one, is that it's more unlicensed mess. Again, clearly it's not licensed, and whilst these designs look a lot better than Chrome, it's still not what we've seen in the past. And you're still going to have those people that are going to be praising this, yet they were crapping on Panini Baseball, yet they were crapping on Leaf. So again, very predatory in terms of what some of these breakers are going to be pushing down people's throats. That's just, something for you guys to keep front of mind. But the other thing that I don't like here is the fact this set's sort of come out of the blue. I don't think this was rumored, and you basically now had all these, high-end, low-print Victor Wembanyama cards come out that are going to completely destroy the value, or not completely, but destroy the value of some of these other short print ones that people thought, well, they've come out with Topps Chrome, that one of one is going to maintain some value. Or the Panini one of ones, they're going to maintain some value. Now you've got this new set from Topps after already putting so many autos of his in all these different sets, including the Topps Now stuff, that is going to completely override all those. So what's going to happen to all those poor people that have sort of invested all that money that are now going to have these things supersede them completely? And that's the reminder for you guys, right? There's nothing stopping a Topps from going ahead and printing a new set or more cards than what you expected, right? And completely superseding what you own. There's nothing out there stopping a person that has maybe only signed once or twice from Panini to go ahead and now sign a heck of a lot more for Topps, meaning your rare card is maybe not as rare anymore. These things can change, so that's why you need to be very, very careful, especially when it comes to things like inscriptions. I know Dustin, the sports card dad, talks about his Drew Brees all the time, right? It's got a really cool inscription on there, and it's a really cool card. I think it's first year Prism, if I remember correctly, and from his perspective, the inscription was the reason why he bought it, right? Because he's a big fan. But from my perspective, it's like, well, who's to stop him from doing an inscription on more cards to make it less rare? And the same thing sort of goes here. It's like, you need to factor that stuff in when you're going ahead and buying it. It's not going to be something that is going to be forever rare, right? These things are going to get printed more and more year on year, especially with how hard Topps have pushed Victor Wembanyama as it is. Like this guy, by the end of the year, by December, we might even see another set come out that completely supersedes these. And it's never ending at this point. And I feel sorry for the people that are, voting with their wallets instead of their brains. Now, you can sort of see here a breakdown from Card Ladder from a day ago. 8 cards per box. They talk about, how many relic cards are in there. There's 99 or lower. And then they talk about some other base cards and the like. But you can sort of see here, there's a crap ton included. Also included is a pretty cool dual auto of Victor and LeBron that I think will sell for crazy amounts of money. But, there are so many awesome looking cards in here, and I think they do look awesome, even though they are unlicensed. You guys know I do like my unlicensed stuff. But there are so many things in here that I think are nice looking, to the point that they're going to outsell all the stuff I've seen previously. So like I sort of said earlier, all those people that have gone ahead and paid all this insane money are now going to see a one of one like this and think, well, crap, there goes my chance to ever grow that further. And, ultimately he might have a career that supersedes that of LeBron, Jordan, more than likely not. But let's say it does. Maybe those people can make that money back, but it's like, you've paid so much money, guys. Like, you really think you're going to get your money back? And do you really think Topps is going to sit on their hands and not try and do one better than this next time around? It's a bit scary when you start looking at it through that lens. And also, what's also pretty interesting here that I noticed, and a few others did, that I didn't quite understand how big of an issue it was until someone on Instagram flagged it, was these cards look very, very familiar to sets in the past. And you would have seen in the intro, I mentioned that they look like sets from other manufacturers in the past. I think I specifically mentioned Upper Deck and Panini, but Spinatron on Instagram actually identified a few other things, including some other sets, specific sets from Panini, and also a Sony Walkman logo lineup as well. You can sort of see here, this is the Topps Mercury logo. It's pretty self-explanatory. but it does look like just an upside down version of the Walkman logo, which I thought was pretty funny. It did look very similar when I first saw it, but for those of us that grew up in the 90s, seeing that is, you know, pretty unmistakable in my opinion. And then he goes on to show some other comparisons. So you've got an SB Authentic over here from Upper Deck, which essentially looks like this dual order that I just referenced, except it's flipped 180 degrees. And you can sort of see here, it just looks like exactly what they've gone ahead and done, which is, you know, pretty funny. I know cards these days, it's really hard to come up with new designs, and these manufacturers want to try and create something timeless. So looking back at the past often helps people want to go ahead and chase them because they have that connection, etc. But this just seems pretty lazy and laughable, and right up there with the mistakes they've made with, you know, the basketball Topps Chrome release and how lazy they were. But again, this one over here, it looks very much like Panini Immaculate. And again, you could say, well, maybe not, but it does look like it's drawn inspiration. There's one here from Panini Preferred, which again, it's just a patch window, but clearly, again, drawn inspiration. And then here in terms of the borders regarding Upper Deck, Exquisite, the patch autos, etc. So, you know, I don't think it's like something they've copy and pasted completely, aside from maybe this one, but just something to, you know, keep front of mind with it. You're sort of releasing an $8,000 set, and you would have thought maybe they would have put in a little bit more effort to make this thing look a bit more, you know, unique and a bit more of themselves, not taking and pickpocketing inspiration from all these other companies. Like, you've just come ahead and released a new set. Like, put some effort to match the price of that card. And that goes to, you know, the issues I spoke about with Topps Chrome when they brought it back, right? They talked about this thing being the second coming, essentially, the greatest thing since sliced bread. The return of Topps Chrome is meant to be the best thing ever for this industry, right? The best thing for years. And then they go ahead and show us what it looked like, and we're all like, guys, what are you doing? You talked about this brand being amazing, yet you went ahead and put low effort into that. So much so that you had collectors seeing images within 5 minutes and making them look better themselves without any effort. It's like, put your money where your mouth is kind of thing. Like, you're saying this thing's amazing. What are you actually putting out there? Now you basically got this, talking about this new amazing set that's going to be targeted to one athlete every single year. You want to charge people $8,000 a box, but then you go ahead and just cherry pick the ideas from every other company that's been made to date. I think that's really lazy and pretty poor form. And I think that, in my opinion, highlights what Topps thinks of us. So, you know, it is what it is. I think they deserve some credit, like I said in the intro or in the first part of the video about the Rip Night, because they've taken some feedback on board clearly and stopped handing out gift cards to kids to use their breaking platform to get them addicted, which is good, obviously. But this other news about this Mercury card, whilst I think they are cool, and I would like to maybe try and buy one on the secondary market, I get a lot of questions around what this means for print runs of his autographs. They've pushed him to death, how much they're charging, how little they actually put in terms of effort, how much more they could print after this. It should concern people, and I'm keen to hear what you guys have to say down below. So that's sort of it for today. I can't recall if there was anything else I wanted to flag. If I did, I'll probably drop it in a pinned comment down below. But that's sort of it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.